All right, guys, I'm still kind of like beating myself up a little bit because although I did go a perfect 5-0 in my personal bets on brockpage.com on Thursday, I didn't bet more. Like, I didn't bet on enough games. If I knew I was going to have a perfect day, I would have bet more games and probably a couple $1,000s more a game. So, unfortunately, a wasted opportunity there. Despite having a perfect day on Thursday. Now that 5-0 day, that's actually going to put us at 4-1 in our last 5 extra daily bets following Thursday's action on that website as well. And if you want to access today's extra daily bet, it's only going to cost you just $2.99. And the link for that bet is in the description section below. Now, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'll explain a little bit more about it. What the difference is between what I do here on YouTube and what I do on my website. And if you are interested in accessing every single personal bet that I give out on brockpage.com, there is a way you can do that, and that's to sign up for my board member tier package bet. Now, we're currently 7-3 in our last 10 board member tier package bets on my website. And that's good for 70% during that span, although I would much prefer it to be 100%, to be honest. I said in my earlier videos that if you're not winning 100% of your bets, it's really not worth doing. So if you're okay with 7-3 in our last 10 board member tier package bets, maybe that'll work for you. But anyway, guys, just remember that board members do get access to every single package that I offer on that webpage every single day, all the way through the end of April. And with that, guys, let's go ahead and dive into some NHL action. We're going to start with the Devils taking on the Stars, 2 o'clock Eastern puck drop on Saturday, April 9th, 2022. Dallas is minus 235, total 6 goals. Jake Oettinger expected in net for Dallas. Nico Daws for New Jersey. Now, Nico has gotten the W in just 8 out of 19 starts this season. He's got a .331 goals against average, .889 save percentage. Now, the Devils are in the middle of a 5-game losing streak. They allowed 29 total goals during that stretch. Now, the Devils also have gotten the W in just 8 out of 34 road games this year. They find themselves in the bottom 3 in goals allowed per game away from home. They're taking on a Dallas club who won 9 out of their last 12 themselves. They score a bunch of goals in the second period. Dallas is currently in the top 10 in second period scoring at home. And they're led by Jason Robertson, who has 32 goals and 33 assists. Now, defensively, Jake Oettinger's 25-12 through 37 starts, .248 goals against average, .916 save percentage. And speaking of defensive play, the Stars are in the top 10 in fewest home goals allowed. Now, injury-wise, Peterson, Goryanov, and Goryanov, they are listed as questionable. Meanwhile, for New Jersey on the other side, VC and Bastion are questionable for them. When it comes to the total, the Devils went 70% to the over in their last 10 ball games, 3-1 to the over in their last 4 on the road. Meanwhile, Dallas on the other side of things saw overs recently against the likes of Toronto, San Jose, and Carolina. I'm going to lean toward Dallas minus 1.5 in the over 6 goals. Next contest, Capitals, Penguins, 3 o'clock Eastern start time. Pittsburgh's minus 140, total 6 goals. Tristan Jarry for Pittsburgh, Vitek Vanacek for Washington. Now, Vitek's won 17 of 28 starts this season, .260 goals against average, .911 save percentage. When it comes to defensive play in this one, the Caps have been really tough to score on when traveling. They're in the top 3 in fewest road goals allowed, and they've gone 21-7-5 away from their home ice. Now, they're taking on a Pittsburgh squad who lost their last 3 straight, and they also posted a record of just 2-6 straight up in their last 8. Now, the Pens do tend to give up a lot of goals in the second period. They're actually in the bottom 10 in the league in second period goals allowed at home. When it comes to cashing in on the puck line, Pittsburgh's cashing in on the puck line in just 40% of their contests in the PPG Paints Arena. Now, injury-wise, Crosby, Zucker, Marino, and Zahorna are all listed as questionable. Meanwhile, for Washington, Hathaway is questionable. Hegelin's out. Now, total-wise, Washington went 9-1 to the over in their last 10 games. 3-0 to the over in their last 3 on the road. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh saw overs against the likes of Colorado, Minnesota, and Detroit. They're also 7-3 to the over in their last 10 meetings with the Caps. I'm going to lean toward Washington plus about 20 in the over 6 goals. Next contest, it is going to be Panthers versus the Predators, 6 o'clock Eastern start time. Florida's minus 130, total 6.5. Spencer Knight possible for Florida, UC Saros for the Preds. Now, Saros has 35 wins in the net this season with a .921 save percentage. Now, the Preds are also in the top 5 in fewest goals allowed at home. And they're led by defenseman Alex Carrier, who's a plus 26 when he's on a shift. Now, they're taking on a Florida team who's in the second of a back-to-back on Saturday. They allowed 15 goals in their last 3 games. And speaking of giving up goals, Florida's in the bottom 10 in second period goals allowed on the road. Now, injury-wise, Ekblad's still out. Acciari's questionable. Meanwhile, for Nashville, McCarron is still questionable for them. When it comes to the total, Nashville went 8-2 to the over in their last 10 outings. 3-1 to the over in their last 4 at home. Meanwhile, Florida went 80% to the over in their last 10 contests themselves. 6-1 to the over in their last 7 while traveling. I'm going to lean toward Nashville plus about 10 in the over 6.5. Next matchup. Blue Jackets, Red Wings, 7 o'clock East. Columbus is minus 120, total 6.5. Elvis Merzlikins for Columbus, Alex Nedeljkovic for Detroit. Now, Alex has had a handful of pretty good starts this season, and he does come into this game with a .901 save percentage, but it's actually the offensive play which has been quite impressive for Detroit at home this year. These guys are in the top 5 in home scoring per contest. And they're led by Dylan Larkin, who scored 30 goals and has 67 total points. Now, the Red Wings are taking on a Columbus team who actually lost 8 out of their last 9. And they're coming fresh off a 3-goal loss to the lowly Flyers. Now, in addition to allowing 37 shots on goal a game on the road this season, the Blue Jackets also find themselves in the bottom 3 in the NHL in goals allowed per contest as well. Now, injury-wise, Texier and Jenner are both still out. Meanwhile, for Detroit, Picard and Bertuzzi are listed as questionable for them. When it comes to the total, Detroit went 80% to the over in their last 10 outings. They also went 4-1 to the over in their last 5 at the Little Caesars Arena. Meanwhile, Columbus on the other side saw overs recently with the likes of the Islanders, Winnipeg, and St. Louis. I'm going to lean toward Detroit plus $1 in the over 6.5. Next matchup, it is going to be Senators versus the Rangers, 7 o'clock Eastern start time. The New York Rangers are minus 265, total 6 goals. Igor Shesterkin for New York, Anton Forsberg for Ottawa. And despite a handful of good performances out of Forsberg, the Senators have really done a poor job on the road this year. They got the W in only 13 out of 34 road games. They currently find themselves in the bottom 5 in road scoring. Now, they're taking on a Rangers team who's gone 23-7-4 at Madison Square Garden. And they rank at the top 5 in the NHL in fewest home goals allowed. Defenseman Jacob Trouba is a plus 20 when he's on the ice. Meanwhile, Igor Shesterkin's 33-10 with a .210 goals against average, .935 save percentage. Now, injury-wise, Rooney and Kakko are still out indefinitely. Meanwhile, for Ottawa, Ennis and Stetzel are questionable for them. Batherson is out. Now, total-wise, the Senators have gone 21-13 to the under when they travel. That's good for 62% in that particular category. They've also gone 8-2 to the under in their last 10 against the Rangers. So if you're into historical trends, you certainly want to think about that one there. Meanwhile, the Rangers on the other side of things, they saw unders recently with the likes of Pittsburgh, New Jersey, and the Islanders. I'm going to lean toward the New York Rangers -1.5 and the under 6 goals. Next contest, it is going to be Canadiens versus the Maple Leafs, 7 o'clock East. Toronto's -380, total 6.5. Jack Campbell for the Leafs, Jake Allen for Montreal. Now, Allen's gotten the W in only 9 out of 29 starts this year. That's a .329 goals against average this season for the 31-year-old. And no real surprise here, the Habs allowed more goals per contest on the road than any other team in hockey. They're taking on a Toronto squad who's amongst the best scoring teams in the league right now. They're actually in the top 5 in goals on average per contest. And they're led by Austin Matthews, who leads the NHL in goals with 56 of them. Meanwhile, Mitch Marner, he's in the top 10 in the league in assists and total points. And when it comes to defensive play, the Leafs are allowing just 29 shots on goal a game in their own building. Now, injury-wise, Case and Sandin are still out for Toronto. Meanwhile, for Montreal, Byron and Barron are out for them. When it comes to the total, Montreal went 60% to the over in their last 10 outings. They're actually 24-13 to the over in all of their contests on the road this year. Meanwhile, Toronto went 80% to the over in their last 10 themselves. I'm going to lean toward Toronto -1.5 and the over 6.5 goals. Next game, Flames, Kraken, 7 o'clock East. Calgary's -205, total 6 flat. Jacob Markstrom for Calgary, Philip Grubauer for Seattle. Now, Grubs has had a tough year for himself in Seattle. He's gone just 16-28 between the pipes and has a .312 goals against average. Now, the netminder also comes into Saturday's contest with an .891 save percentage. And no real surprise here, the Kraken's currently in the bottom 10 in goals allowed per game. They're taking on a Calgary team who leads the NHL in offensive shots on goal on the road. And they've also got Elias Lindholm, who scored 38 times this year and has 35 total assists. Meanwhile, Johnny Gaudreau has 99 total points on the year, and that's thanks to 34 goals, 65 assists. Now, when it comes to defensive play in this one, the Flames are actually in the top 3 in the NHL in goals allowed per contest. Now, injury-wise, Killington and Ritchie are out for the Flames. Meanwhile, for Seattle, Schwartz and Fleury are questionable for them. When it comes to the numbers, Seattle's 22-13 to the over in their own arena. Meanwhile, Calgary, on the other side, they're 63% to the over when they travel. I'm going to lean toward Calgary -1.5 and the over 6 goals. Next contest, Ducks, Flyers, 7:30 East. Now, both teams are -110, total 6.5. Anthony Stolarz for Anaheim, Carter Hart for Philadelphia. Now, Hart's had himself a pretty tough year, although he does come into Saturday's contest with a .906 save percentage. Now, the Flyers also got the W in 2 out of their last 3 contests, with victories over the likes of Columbus and the Rangers. Cam Atkinson leads the club with 23 goals along with 50 total points. Now, the Flyers are taking on a struggling Anaheim team who garnered only 1 victory since March 8th. They actually went just 1-13 straight up during that time frame. When it comes to defensive play in this one, the Ducks are allowing nearly 35 shots on goal a game when they travel. Now, injury-wise, Ryan Getzlaf is questionable with a lower body injury. Meanwhile, for Philadelphia on the other side, McEwen is questionable with a head injury. When it comes to the total, Philadelphia went 60% to the over in their last 10 outings. Meanwhile, Anaheim saw overs recently with the likes of Calgary, Edmonton, and Nashville. I'm going to lean toward Philadelphia -110 and the over 6.5. Next contest, it is going to be Islanders versus the Blues, 8 o'clock East. St. Louis is -160, totals 5.5. Jordan Binnington possible for St. Louis. Semyon Varlamov expected for the Isles. And although Varlamov has some pretty good numbers this season, the veteran really just can't get the W. He's gotten the win in just 9 out of 23 starts this year, and the Isles are allowing nearly 35 shots on goal a game when they travel. Meanwhile, offensively on the other end of the ice, New York's actually amongst the worst scoring teams in the entire NHL. They're taking on a St. Louis squad who's gone 23, 9, and 4 at home, and they rank in the top 3 in offensive scoring. Vlad Tarasenko has scored 25 goals and has 61 total points. Meanwhile, Jordan Kyrou leads the club in points with 63 of them. Now, when it comes to the injury report, Bozak and Krug are out indefinitely. Meanwhile, for New York on the other side, Mayfield is still out for them. Now, when it comes to the scoring, the Isles averaged only 2.8 goals a game in their last 10 meetings with St. Louis. They actually saw 70% of those meetings fall under the line. So once again, if you're into historical trends, you certainly want to think about that one there. Meanwhile, St. Louis saw 3 out of their last 5 at the Enterprise Center fall under the total themselves. I'm going to lean towards St. Louis minus 160 and the under 5.5. Next contest, it is going to be Coyotes versus the Golden Knights, 10 o'clock East. Vegas is minus 380, total 6 goals. Robin Leonard for Vegas, Karel Vejmelka for Arizona. Now, Karel's gotten the W in just 12 out of 39 starts. He has a .340 goals against average. The Coyotes are currently in the bottom 3 in road goals allowed, and they're giving up nearly 36 shots on goal a game. They're taking on a Vegas club who won 5 out of their last 6 themselves, and they also rank amongst the better teams in the league in home scoring. And of course, when it comes to the offensive production, it's Jonathan Marchessault who has 28 goals and 58 total points. Meanwhile, Chris Stevenson leads the team in assists with 38 of them. The Knights are currently averaging nearly 37 shots on goal a game in the T-Mobile Arena, certainly giving themselves plenty of chances at home. Now, injury-wise, Pacioretty, Carrier, and Haig, they're still out for Vegas. Meanwhile, for Arizona, on the other side of things, Roussel, Moser, and O'Brien, they're still listed as out for them. When it comes to the total, Arizona saw overs recently with the likes of St. Louis, San Jose, and Edmonton. Meanwhile, Vegas saw their last 5 straight in Sin City get over the line. I'm going to lean toward Vegas minus 1.5 in the over 6 goals. Next contest, it is going to be Sharks Canucks, 10 o'clock Eastern start time. Vancouver's minus 140, totals 5.5. Thatcher Demko for Vancouver, James Reimer for San Jose. Despite a pretty decent year for Reimer, the Sharks are actually in the middle of a 5-game losing streak, and they've given up a handful of goals in the process. Now, offensively, the Sharks have really struggled getting the puck in the net. They're averaging only 28 shots a game on the road. And in addition to that, they're actually in the bottom 5 in the league in road scoring. They're taking on a Vancouver club who won their last 2 straight themselves. And they allowed only 2.3 goals a game in their last 9 outings. Thatcher Demko has 29 wins in the crease this season. He also has a .266 goals against average and a .917 save percentage. Pretty good numbers for him. Meanwhile, defensemen Tyler Myers and Luke Shen, they're both each plus 14 when they're on a shift. Now, injury-wise, Hughes and Pearson are questionable for Vancouver. Meanwhile, for San Jose on the other side, Leonard and Gajovic are questionable for them. Now, when it comes to the numbers, San Jose went 20 and 13 of the under on their home ice. Meanwhile, Vancouver has gone 70% to the under in their last 10 outings themselves. I'm going to lean toward Vancouver minus 140 and the under 5.5. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our next and final matchup for the show. It is going to be Avalanche versus the Oilers, 10 o'clock Eastern puck drop. Colorado's minus 140, total 6.5. Darcy Kemper for Colorado, Mike Smith for Edmonton. And even though Colorado does come into the second of a back-to-back here on Saturday, it's Mike Smith who comes into Saturday's game for Edmonton with a 319 goals against average between the pipes. As a matter of fact, the Oilers are allowing 33 shots on goal a game on their home ice this year. They're currently in the bottom 10 in the NHL in that particular category. Now they're taking on a Colorado team who does nothing but score goals themselves. These guys are in the top 3 in the NHL in scoring on average per contest. They're led by Mikko Rantanen, who has 35 goals and 84 total points. Meanwhile, Devin Taves has 40 assists, and he's also 3rd in the NHL in plus-minus. And when it comes to defensive play in this one, the Avs are currently in the top 10 in fewest goals allowed per contest. Now, injury-wise, Kadri and Landeskog are both still out. When it comes to the total, Colorado saw overs recently with the likes of Pittsburgh, San Jose, and Philadelphia. Meanwhile, Edmonton saw their last 4 straight at Rogers Place get over the line themselves, 70% to the over in their last 10 outings at any location. I'm going to lean toward Colorado minus 140 and the over 6.5. And with that, guys, now it's time for our quick pick recap. Powered to you by my website at brockpage.com, where we are 7-3 in our last 10 board member tier package bets following Thursday's sports wagering action. I like Dallas minus 1.5 over 6 goals. Washington plus $1.20 over 6. Nashville plus $1.10 over 6.5. Detroit plus $1 over 6.5 goals. New York Rangers minus 1.5 under 6. Toronto Maple Leafs minus 1.5 over 6.5 goals. Calgary minus 1.5 over 6. Philadelphia minus $1.10 over 6.5. I also like St. Louis minus 160 under 5.5. Vegas Golden Knights minus 1.5 over 6 goals. Give me Vancouver minus 140 under 5.5. And before I give you my next and final free pick for the video, one final reminder, guys, that we are also 4-1 in our last 5 extra daily bets on brockpage.com following Thursday's sports wagering action. I'm going to lean toward Colorado minus 140 and the over 6.5. And with that, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on brockpage.com. Now, if you guys do end up getting a membership here today on my website, just keep in mind you're going to get billed the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. So if you do end up getting a membership here today on brockpage.com, you're going to get access to that content every single day all the way through the end of April. I always tell folks in every single video, the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. And guys, if you want to get access to every single bet that I give out on that website, you're going to want to sign up for my board member tier package. Now, you guys may be wondering what the difference is between what I do here on YouTube and what I do on my website. Well, what I do here on YouTube is I'll handicap the entire slate of games in any given sport, side, and total. What I do on brockpage.com is I actually share with you which one of these free YouTube picks on my channel that I'm actually betting on personally. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, guys, happy Friday or Saturday. Wait, what is it? Is it Thursday? I can't even remember. I think it's Friday, yeah. Happy Friday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at brockpage.com.